Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into some profound questions about divine glory. And interestingly, what that might mean for us. It really challenges some common ideas.
It does, and we've got a great set of sources lined up, theological commentary, key scriptures from John, 1 Timothy, Luke, Revelation, the works. Our goal here is to pull out the core insights about the divine's own glory, its self-contained nature, and really unpack why that's so important for you.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Our sources kick off with this powerful idea. The divine is glorious in itself. What does that actually mean, this self-sufficient glory? And what are the maybe unexpected consequences for us?
Well, it's fascinating. The core idea is that the divine's glory is infinite, eternal, completely unchanging. It's totally independent of creation. I mean, think about it, whether space and time even exist, whether we use it, it doesn't add or subtract from the divine's glory. It's just perfectly glorious from eternity to eternity. John 17.5 really hints at this inherent nature.
Right. But that immediately brings up a big question, doesn't it? If the divine is already complete, totally self-sufficient, doesn't need our praise, then why create anything? Why would it want worship? Seems a bit paradoxical.
And that's where the sources offer a really profound twist. It turns out worship isn't primarily for the divine's benefit. It's for ours.
For ours? How so?
The idea is that the divine actually designed us to find our greatest happiness, our deepest flourishing, when we're oriented towards worship.
So it's less about the divine needing adoration and more about, well, like it's built into our operating system. It's how we're meant to receive life, real happiness.
Exactly. That's the connection the sources make. Creatures truly receive life by sort of plugging into the divine through worship. And the flip side, they suggest, is that self-focused creatures who turn away from that, they inevitably end up causing harm, suffering internally, and trampling on others. It's interesting, too, how some sources describe the ultimate consequence, not eternal suffering, but non-existence after a proportional period. And even that's framed as, well, it's an act of love, surprisingly, because the suffering isn't endless. There's this really striking analogy used in the material to highlight how different the divine's desire is. Think about humans and, say, bacteria. A person doesn't really care if bacteria worship them. Right? We're not usually concerned if bacteria are happy or love each other. We might even cultivate them to be self-serving in a way.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit of a stark comparison.
But it highlights the contrast. Unlike that human-bacteria scenario, the divine actually desires creatures to love each other. And receiving worship is somehow connected to that goal, enabling that love between creatures. It really turns our usual assumptions upside down.
It really does. And okay, another angle. If the divine is this unapproachable light, like 1 Timothy says, transcending space and time, how can we finite beings even perceive that? How do we grasp infinite glory?
Good question. And the sources are quite clear.
Yeah.
We can only see what the divine chooses to reveal.
Yeah.
We can't grasp it on our own. And that's where the second person of the divine, the Son, becomes central.
Ah, the self-emptying aspect.
Exactly. The Son, who is inherently just as glorious as the first person, performs this incredible act of, well, kenosis is the theological term, self-emptying. But it's not losing glory. It's more like setting aside the overwhelming display of power to take on a form we could actually perceive, relate to. And the sources argue that it's precisely in that vulnerability, that humility, especially shown through the cross, that the highest glory is actually revealed to us.
So things like the transfiguration in Luke or those descriptions in Revelation, they aren't the full blinding reality.
They're glimpses, revealed glimpses, made comprehensible through the Son. It's this act of divine humility that makes perception possible.
And that perception allows us, as 2 Corinthians puts it, to be transformed by the Spirit into that same likeness.
That's the connection, yes.
Yeah.
The revealed glory isn't just for seeing, it's for transforming.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've explored this idea that divine glory is totally self-contained, eternal, needing nothing. Yet paradoxically, the divine desires our worship not for itself, but because it's the pathway to our flourishing, our happiness, our ability to love. And the most profound revelation of that immense glory wasn't raw power, but humility. Taking a form we could actually connect with.
Which really leaves us with something to chew on, doesn't it? If the ultimate display of divine glory, according to these sources, is found in self-giving, in humility for the sake of others, what does that challenge or maybe affirm in your own thinking about what real power looks like, what true love is, and ultimately what it means for you to live a truly flourishing life?